Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of America in the Bible. I want to look at some verses today in Revelation chapter 18. Revelation 18 describes a time when this mystery Babylon is going to be judged. And 4 different times it refers to this happening very quickly. It talks about in 1 hour or in 1 day she will be destroyed. Verse 8 says, therefore in 1 day her plagues will overtake her. If we go down to verse 10, it says, woe to you, great city, you mighty city of Babylon. In 1 hour your doom has come. Then it talks about all the merchants of the world will be watching. They'll be sitting in their ships, and they'll be out sitting in their ships watching her burn. And they'll be saying, well, what are we going to do? We can't trade with this great nation anymore. Verse 17 says, in 1 hour such great wealth has been brought to ruin. And we go down in verse 19, it says again, in 1 hour she has been brought to ruin. So 4 different times it talks about her destruction coming very suddenly. Now let's think a little bit about how could that happen to a great nation like the United States of America. It's not talking about a slow societal decay that happens over, 20 years, 40 years, 100 years or something like that. It's not even talking about an invasion by enemy forces. If you think about even a force of 1 million soldiers coming against the United States, it would take a long time, and probably they wouldn't even be successful. So what could it be that would bring destruction on a nation in 1 hour? As we look through history, we think this probably wouldn't have even been possible. But if we look at modern technology, we can see that it is possible today. And what I think it's describing here, if we go back in the book of Jeremiah, it talks about Babylon again becoming dark in 1 hour. Becoming dark in 1 hour. Now, what would turn our nation dark in 1 hour? I think there's only one explanation. I believe that is an electromagnetic pulse bomb. Now I don't know if you're familiar with what that's referring to or not, but what it is, it's a nuclear device that is detonated high in the atmosphere. It can be 20 miles up to 200 miles high in the atmosphere. And what it does, it puts out an electromagnetic pulse. And I don't know about all the science about how this works, but what I've read about how they work is they overcharge the electrical grid, and they basically blow the circuits, they blow the transformers, they blow anything that has an electronic circuit in it will be blown and not be able to be used. And what that does is it would immediately be like a power outage. It won't hurt people. You won't feel it in your body. The detonation will be far enough away that you won't feel the effects of it. But it'll be like a power outage. And most people will think, well, we got a power outage, so no big deal, it'll come back on. But the problem is it won't come back on anytime soon. And it would, just think about how your life would change if you had no electricity. Think of all the things that you depend on every day with electricity. The lights in your home, the heat or the cooling in your home. Even transportation would be shut down. A lot of vehicles would immediately stop. Our modern vehicles have all kinds of electric components in them, and those would be fried. They would be stopped. And even if those that aren't, very quickly you wouldn't be able to buy fuel, and the fuel would stop. It also talks in here about such great wealth has been brought to ruin. Today people don't carry cash anymore. All your wealth is stored on a computer somewhere, and you won't have access to any of that. That'll be gone overnight. Won't have access to any of that. So it will change our lives dramatically. In an instant, it will change our lives. According to a study that was done by the government on this a few years ago, they determined that within 1 year, 90% of the United States population would die because of just, well, there'd be some immediate death. Those who depend on medicine, those who depend on dialysis, those who depend on insulin, for instance, that wouldn't be able to get those would die very quickly. And over a period of time, people would die from starvation, and just the breakdown of society. People would die from the utter chaos that would come from that. Now, this really hit home with me several years ago. It was September 11th, 2016. It was the 15th anniversary of 9/11, so I was giving a sermon in our church at Solid Rock Chapel here in Sullivan, Illinois, about what I saw that as a warning from God. That was really a warning from God. When God pulled back his hand of protection for a moment of time, he allowed those terrorists to send a message to the United States of America that we'd better turn around, we'd better wake up, we'd better turn back to God, or there's a judgment coming. So I was giving that message, and I was talking about what I saw as the next thing that could possibly happen, and I just started studying about this, and I said probably what's going to happen down the road as I read scriptures, I read current events, as I read about technology and so forth, is probably at some point someone is going to hit us with an electromagnetic pulse attack. So I just was explaining that to the people and just got finished explaining, and I was talking about something else, and it was a beautiful September day in central Illinois. And this has never happened before in our church and has never happened since. But as I was standing there preaching, all of a sudden the power went out in our sanctuary. Now, our sanctuary doesn't have any windows, and so it got totally dark in that sanctuary for a period of time. Now, people immediately thought, oh, pastor's trying to play a trick on us. He set this up so somebody turned the power off, so we think this happened. But I was freaking out as much as they were because I hadn't done anything like that. To this day, I do not know what caused that power to go out. It was out for a few seconds and then it came back on again. But to me, that was a confirmation from God that this is going to happen at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how soon it's going to happen. But I believe that this is going to happen here in the United States of America. So I'm telling you this because I want you to be ready. I want you to be prepared for what's going to come. Because there's certain things that we can do to be prepared. It's going to be a horrible time, but the main thing that we can do to be prepared is to be prepared to meet Jesus, to have our hearts right with Jesus Christ. Because I want to share with you something else that's in this passage of Scripture. Right in the middle of this, in verse 4, it says, this is John writing this, and he says, then I heard another angel, another voice from heaven, saying, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. Friends, to me, I think that may be talking about the rapture. I think maybe in the middle of that, maybe just before that, maybe somewhere in the middle of all this judgment taking place, we're going to be raptured out. We're going to be taken out to be with Jesus. That's our hope today. That's our hope, because without that, I'm not sure that there is a lot of hope. God bless you all. Have a great day.